already an expert at? What have I already put in my time, or what am I getting close to? And that's actually more depressing because it's sleeping, the aforementioned diarrhea, sleeping, and the only other thing I think I might come close to is Googling, which is just pathetic. I told a student the other day if they needed help finding something that I could help them because I'm a really good Googler. And like we wonder why more kids don't want to become educators. Like, it's really sad. But I am a good Googler, and I Google a lot. And I found out that you can download your entire Google search history and look at like what is everything I ever Googled. So I thought as a way for you all to get to know me better, I would read you some gems from the last 7 years. So here goes. What is Manuka honey, and should I put it on my face? Is celery juice good for my gut? Who is the basketball team owner who is also in a crappy jazz band? What infomercial album was the song Return to Innocence on? And it's Pure Moods, if anybody remembers that commercial. Are memory foam mattresses harder to have sex on? You didn't have to look that up, the answer is yes. What dog breeds are low energy? Who sang the song It's Just One of Them Days? Monica. Who played the chief on Where in the World is Carmen Sandiego? What movie is the song Take That from? Teenage Witch. How much should I tip for a haircut? How do I teach students to understand theories about the male gaze and gendered scripts? I'm not all fluff, right? There's some serious things in there. How many people died today? Every day it's 150,000 or 6,000 people an hour. So how's that for fun facts? Bad grandpa runtime. Does apple juice give you vivid dreams? What is happening in Ukraine? Are there slam poets who use sign language? Native Americans versus American Indian, which one? Women are more than muses. How long, this was a fun night. How long does Percocet last? Expiration date. How long does a Percocet high last? Rice pudding or bread pudding? Triple Axel versus Triple Lutz. Katarina Witt, Robin Hood. Most interesting man in the world memes. That might be the saddest one. Or no wait, this is the saddest one. How to give a wedding toast at your dad's second marriage. I don't have enough sugar for my brownie recipe, what do I do? Toxic Rock Syndrome, band name. Shep Smith is crazy. Are there soldiers who refuse to kill? Dragnet LSD party. Me, myself, and Irene, Wizard of Oz picture. Oh, this is now you're getting into the poop fiasco, mouse poop fiasco. I had vacuumed up what turned out to be mouse poop, and I guess it's incredibly dangerous, but I'm a risk taker. So here goes. I vacuumed mouse poop, now what? Do I have hantavirus, mouse poop? I took a little break to find out why did Amy Poehler and Nick Kroll break up. I wanted to look for the Homer sperm dance in Jennifer Aniston in high school. Fassbender's dick, Michael Fassbender's penis, mouse poop disease. It all comes full circle. Psychedelic mushrooms and seizures. The Boys in the Hood Cuba Gooding Jr. t-shirt. What champagne should I buy? How to make perfect poached eggs. Should I be worried about arsenic in my rice? What is a thought? I mean, it's that hoe over there. Am I a basic bitch? Yes, if you have to ask. The answer is yes. Dickies sleeveless turtleneck? What is health goth? Giant roadside sexy female ice cream cone? Are microwaves safe? Emoji penis. Am I addicted to sugar? Do people still get perms? How to know if you would look good with a perm? I still really, really want one. I wanted one since I was so young. Do most women have hair on their assholes? Does chest pain mean I'm having a heart attack? Blue balls of the heart. That's a line from the second season of True Detective. It is the worst, categorically the worst line ever written for TV. Worst characters from The Wire. Biff Tannen rape scene, Back to the Future. Howard the Duck, girl duck with boobs. That's real. If you haven't seen that movie, there's a girl duck with boobs. And because I'm not a complete asshole, how do we divest from prisons? So I asked some questions that need to be asked. I think about what if when we die, maybe at our funeral or as part of whatever the future of graves look like, it would list the most unique Google searches we ever had. and maybe like, I don't know, we would list our Google searches, they would become public record. I think we'd actually find that even the things we think we Google that are weird, everybody's Googling. Like, I bet I am not the only person who has Googled about Howard the girl duck with boobs. And in fact, I bet most of you are gonna Google it tonight. There's certain words and phrases that I really hate. Epic is one that gets overused. People used to say, I don't hear it as much, but amazeballs or awesome sauce. Adulting is one that gets used in that way, and it drives me nuts. But the one that I hate more than anything is the use of the word rock star as a job description, or a parking spot. People will say like, oh, I got rock star parking. But more so, it's used in job descriptions, especially at restaurants. If you go onto Craigslist tonight, and you look at jobs, if you look up rock star, there will be like 10 restaurants looking for a rock star line cook. And they're usually kind of like cheesy chain places, like Red Lobster needs rock star line cooker, Chipotle looking for a rock star burrito boy. It doesn't say burrito boy, but you know what I mean. But I always think, do the people who are writing those ads know anything about rock stars or musicians? Because having dated kind of exclusively musicians, they are not the ideal employee. First of all, it is true that most of them are unemployed, but they're usually not looking for work. They're also never on time for anything. I played in bands, and practices always start about 2 hours later than they're supposed to start. And they're also, in my experience, relatively dumb. In college, I dated this guy who, he just thought he was so smart, and he thought he was really deep and poetic, and just, he thought he had it. And he said to me, he was like, you're not like other girls. Yeah, you're special, you're just not like other girls. And I thought, oh, I love it when someone insults my entire gender as a compliment to me. That's so sweet. Can you imagine if someone was like, said that but based on race or where you're from, like how racist and xenophobic that would be. I hope, it probably does happen, which is the shittier thing, that's like probably something people experience, right? Like being told they're not like people of their race, or they're not like people from their country, but it's really fucked up, and stop doing it if you're a guy that does that. But those are all just wannabe rock stars. So then I was like, well, what about actual rock stars? How are they as employees? And when you think about what rock stars are associated with, it's really kind of this sex, drugs, and rock and roll lifestyle, destroying hotel rooms. And I thought about, there's this book called The Dirt by Motley Crue. Is anybody familiar with Motley Crue? Well, it's a rock and roll band from the late 80s and early 90s. And they were notorious for destroying hotel rooms and having lots of sex and doing all sorts of shenanigans. Two of them, Tommy Lee and Nikki Sixx, two of the characters, they were known for getting bored and eating light bulbs in the hotels that they were staying at. And I'm going to actually read, because it's too good not to hear, an excerpt from their book, The Dirt. So here goes. This is from their book, The Dirt. We were always fucking other chicks at the studio backstage. We would take Tommy Lee's van to a restaurant called Noggles to buy these egg burritos and then rub them on our crotches to cover the smell of the girls we had just fucked. So our dicks smelled of eggs. We would tell our girlfriends, oh, we dropped the burritos in our laps. The girlfriends thought we were a bunch of clumsy slobs. We never thought about going into the restroom and just washing our dicks. So do you think that's what Chipotle means when they say, burrito boy wanted? All right, did anyone in their town growing up have a hot dog girl? Does anyone know what this is? Or a peanut butter girl? Or a Coke bottle girl? These were girls whose stories got told about them that they had masturbated with a hot dog, or put peanut butter on their vagina, or stuck a Coke up their vagina. Did anyone ever hear stories like this? Okay, maybe not. Maybe it really was just my existence. But I heard these stories all the time. I moved around a lot, and every town I moved into, there was this story that sort of shamed a young girl for supposedly exploring her body. And I came to two possible conclusions. One was that these stories were just made up as a way, again, to shame young women into pleasuring themselves and enjoying their bodies. Or 2, I was that girl. Probably a little bit of column A, a little bit of column B. Language is interesting. People use, hyperbole and metaphors in really interesting ways. One thing that I hear people say a lot, people use the word oppressive about things that really have nothing to do with oppression. So you hear it, I feel like I hear it in Northampton. It's always kind of like the kind of hippie, yuppie, older woman who spends time at the farmer's market, and she'll say, "This heat is oppressive." And mind you, she said this like she's just gotten out of her air-conditioned car. She's gonna be purchasing her organic, locally farmed kale to make a massage kale salad when she gets home. But for her, this heat is oppressive. I wish, right, that was like what oppression meant. Like that was it. Just means I'm hot. And like for 10 minutes I have to be a little uncomfortable. People also use the term guilty pleasures a lot, a guilty pleasure, and they'll say it for things like, for reality TV, that's the big one, right? Like, oh, I like the Real Housewives, or I like the Kardashians, that's my guilty pleasure. But Jeffrey Dahmer would lure young men into his home, drug them so that they were alive but passive, murder them, and then eat them. I think that is the real guilty pleasure. All right, thank you very much. I'm Danny O'Brien. And I am excited to bring up Brandon Wardell. You will know him from MTV Comedy Central and his podcast, Yeah, But Still.